So welcome everyone to this second last session of uh, Apex Hours, Apex Dev Hours. The journey has been exciting. We've had a lot of learnings in terms of uh, what are the different programmatic artifacts, right from basics of Apex to to the mysteries of Aura components. Today we have an exciting session, and today's session is going to be around Lightning Web Components. In fact, this is one of the focus areas during your Platform Developer 1 exam, and hence understanding Lightning Web Components is of essence. Um, there is a lot of requirements even from clients today, where most of the development is now being done on Lightning as compared to the traditional Visual Force, and hence it is of essence that we understand how this all works and fits into the bigger picture of the Salesforce platform and performing bespoke development using the Salesforce platform. So that being said, thank you everyone again for joining in. Good morning, good evening, based on the time zone you are located in. Um, uh, Today's topic, like I said, is Lightning Web Components, and without any further ado, I will transfer this over to Amit, who's Amit Singh, who's our speaker today. So Amit, it's over to you.
Thank you, Shigar, and welcome everyone in this session where we are going to learn about Lightning Web Component. So, in today's date, if we talk about Lightning Web Component, this is actually the most demanded technologies in terms of development, and 9 out of 10 jobs you will get. Every company is asking for the Lightning Web Component developers. So, a little bit about me: I'm a certified Salesforce application architect, community leader, and a speaker. I have 11 certificate against my name, and I have been titled as Lightning Champion and Analytics Champion. At the rate Cloudy Amit is my Twitter handle. You can follow me there, and Simply Amit is my LinkedIn handler. You can follow me there as well. So before we go ahead, these are some rules that you need to keep in mind. Please don't open your webcam or your mic so that we can continue our session without any kind of hurdles. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put down into the Q&A window, and we will try to answer all those questions. And we also have a team which will be answering your questions even the session is going on. So this is the agenda for the day. We are going to talk about even if we have VF and Aura component, why Salesforce is going and saying that we need to work on the Lightning Web components. And then we will talk about what is the difference between Aura and LWC, what are the software required to develop the Lightning Web components. And then we will have a playground, and we have Lightning library that we are going to walk through on that. And then we will start doing some kind of demo, like creating a project or deploying that web component into the Salesforce environment and see how it looks like. So let's quickly start. So to understand this Lightning Web Component, this is a new methodology that Salesforce introduced to develop Lightning Component. As in our previous session, Saket told us like how we can work with Aura Component. So this is on top of that Aura Component, we can develop Lightning Web Components. And using Lightning Web Components, we can use modern web standards like ECMAScript 6 plus, and afterwards like 7, 8, 9, 10. We can create our own elements. We have got the ability to use the modules, and we can create some custom elements. And by using all these, we have got like it is also developed on using a mobile first approach. That means if you are previewing our component in any device, that might be a mobile component, mobile, any kind of tab, desktop, or PC, it will be a responsive design, and the UI will automatically be adjusted. Using Lightning Web Component also enhance the performance, and it is also very easy to develop, and we can find developers very easily. So we will see the comparison, and then you will get more understanding. Before we go ahead, let's quickly see what was with us in 2014. So in 2014, this is the stack. If you see, we were able to use very less web standards provided by web standards, that might be W3C or we have ECMAScript. So we were able to use some rendering, we were able to use very few standard elements, some standard events, and ECMAScript 5. In 2014, we don't have ability to use ECMAScript 7 and afterwards. And to bridge all these things, we have to use some kind of frameworks. Like if you wanted to integrate our Salesforce environment, or we wanted to integrate with some third-party application inside our application, we have to go with the language extensions for creating the modules that we have got in 2019, that we have to develop our modules. So these were the things that were lacking in 2014. The optimization of the Lightning component, or we can say that the loading time was a bit high as compared to these days, and we are not able to create our own elements. We are not able to use modules or decorators. We are not able to use promise functions. We're not able to use even JavaScript classes, and we have got multiple things that we are not able to use. And the fourth point, that it was very hard to find and ramp up the developers in any particular projects. So for example, if we talk about Salesforce, as we are on that domain, when that LWC came into the picture in early 2014, sorry, Horror component came into picture in early 2014, it was very hard to find the developers who can quickly adopt that technology and then can work on. Company needs to spend more than 6 months or more than a year to train their developers to get that technology familiar, and then they can train other resources. So that was very hard to find the developers as well. That is why if you see the stack, we have got too many frameworks. And in these days, different JavaScript other frameworks where became language. Like if you talk about React.js or AngularJS, Node.js, these all are JavaScript framework that are developed on top of JavaScript. But these are very familiar, and these were known as a language, an independent language. So to overcome these were the gaps, that for overcoming we have got different frameworks, we have got different libraries, so that we can develop our single page application in a very large module way. As Saket was discussing about single page application in our previous session. Even that is a different topic, we are not going to go too deep into that. And then this is our 2019 web stack that we have got. And in early 2018 we have got Lightning Web Components. So now if you see that we have got approx all the web standards that are available, we can use for the render. These were the things that we were able to see in our 2014 web stacks as well. Now these are the new things that we have got. We have got ECMAScript 7 plus. Then we have modules that we can use, and the important thing that we have also got is Shadow DOM. We can create our own elements. We can use template, the concept of templates that came into HTML5 vanilla components and the web components that we are talking about. And for the frameworks, we have got only 3 frameworks. One is specialized services that LWC itself provides. Then we have data services to communicate with Salesforce for getting the data. Obviously, if you are working in Salesforce domain and we are creating a UI, we definitely need to communicate with the database, which is Salesforce in our site. And then we have got some set of 70 plus UI components that are base component designed by Salesforce. Those are not different. Those are not provided by the different providers or different libraries. Like in case of Aura components, Aura is a different framework that is not of Salesforce itself. Now on 2015, what we have got is we have got a common component model. Like this is the modeling that we need to follow. We no need to use extra libraries. We no need to go with some kind of other frameworks, JavaScript framework. We have got common programming model. And nowadays, every single developer is very familiar with this HTML and JavaScript programming. That means it is very easy to find and ramp up the developers. That means if I have a project on LWC, I can easily go ahead in the market and find the developers. And again, the performance is also a key performance indicators here. That is, they came into the LWC. Now, if this is the complete LWC stack, if we talk about, these are all the web standards that we already talked in just a few. And these are the Lightning Web Components. So security is that is provided by Salesforce, and that is Lightning Locker Services, which is also a separate topic. We are not going to deep into that. We have Lightning Data Services that we will see in tomorrow's session. And then we have base Lightning components. Few of them we will be using today as well. So these base Lightning components, we have got a set of 70 plus components. Lightning Data Service is basically works as a standard controller if we can compare with a Visual Force page. In Visual Force page, we have a standard controller. In Aura component and in Lightning Web component, we have got Lightning Data Services. So this is why Salesforce came with a new concept to develop Lightning components. Now let's, if we talk about how the UI, how the UI was provided by the Salesforce. So in early when Salesforce came into the market, they have got a technology called S Control, which was till March 2010. And then in 2006, Salesforce got a view page that is in current, and that means Salesforce doesn't mean to retire the view pages if they have got Aura or LWC. If any project which is working on VFS will continue work on that, and if the business want to migrate, they can migrate either in LWC or a component. In early 2014, Salesforce introduced a new technology to develop the UI. Then we have got Aura, and then in late 2018, and November or December, we have got LWC, which is the current that we are working here. So that's why here we have seen this picture. Now let's talk about the comparison of Aura and LWC. So if you see this stack that we already discussed, the Lightning Web component, and the left stack that we have got is of Aura component model. In Aura component, we have got events, we have got standard, few standard elements, and we also have rendering with the help of renderer and uh, Lightning components. And then in Aura, we have got ECMAScript 5. It was not supporting even ECMAScript 6, 7, or 8 to 9. But in web components, we have got ECMAScript 7. And while we were discussing about LWC, we saw that we have got um, plenty number of frameworks to bridge the gap that we discussed. Like these were the gaps, and to bridge those gaps, we have got different frameworks. But for all those in web component, we have got as a web standard. And then this is the stack that is same for both Aura and web component. So again, in terms of Visual Force base, Aura is much faster than VFS. But if we compare Aura and LWC, LWC is much faster than Aura component, and the reason we already discussed. So now let's talk about what all softwares are required to develop a Lightning Web component. So first thing that I will say is you cannot develop Lightning Web component in Developer Console or in an object setup provided by Salesforce. You have to install a Visual Studio Code, and for installing that, first you need to have a JavaScript JDK, Java JDK that you need to download either latest version, or if you have already installed in your machine, you no need to upgrade that. Then you have to install VsCode, which is also a software. You can find the latest version. We will see from where you can find. And after installing VsCode, you have to install these two extensions. One is Salesforce Extension Pack, which provides all the we can say all the dependencies that Salesforce requires, and it also provides shortcuts for creating the different metadata. When we talk about metadata, is like it might be Lightning Web component, or Lightning components, or a component, Apps class, a custom resource, anything it can be. You can create even static resources and multiple things. And then the other extension that we have is Salesforce Lightning code snippets. This is basically to make your work easier. You will see how this is working with me. And then the most important part of the software installation is Salesforce command line interface. And this is CLI is the one which is going to work behind the scene. And with the help of this Salesforce CLI, we can create Apex classes, Visual Force pages, and we can deploy it to our Salesforce environment. So we are not going to cover all this installation part in this video. We already put that video into our channel Apex Hours. We will share the link with you so that if you have not set up all these softwares, you can watch that video and set up that. So now let's quickly talk about what Lightning Component Library is. So even Saket just walked you through. I'll take a very few minutes to walk you through here. So if you wanted to go to Lightning Component Library, you just need to type here Lightning Component Library in the Google, and you will get the first link. Whatever you will get, you just need to click on that link and it will take to you Lightning Component Library. So here, if you see that we have got different tabs available for us, and we have got two sections. One is for Aura that we already discussed yesterday, and then this is the new section where we are going to work with Lightning Web Components. If you wanted to see all the base components that we are discussing about, like 70 plus web components, base components, we have got here all those, and we will see, and we will use few of them here today, and then we will use few of them tomorrow. And then this is the most important, that is developer guide, which is only for Lightning Web Component. We have got different titles here, and under the titles we have got different keys, like how to get started the coding, or how to set up your developer environment, develop with Salesforce DXN tool. All those things you will get here under a document. And the next thing that we would like, or you might love, that is playground. So in this playground, if you don't have Salesforce environment, you can use this playground to develop Lightning Web Component, and you can also see the output here. So if you talk about this here, we have already in this example, Salesforce provides few kind of few files here, like one is application, one is child file. And if you will see, if I say that this is my first LWC, and how whatever you will type here, it will be showing you the preview in the runtime as well. And if you try to wanted to download the files, you can download and refer it later on if you wanted to. Again, if you don't see your preview, you have got some run button here, and to create a project, like to create an application here, you can use this, I think. Yep, just create this. Let's say that I'm saying here first, this is a folder. Under that folder, we have got three files. You might know here we have got three files, and if I open any Lightning component, so let me quickly open that. So this is Lightning component, and you will see that we have got 8 component bundles here. But in Lightning component, we have got only three main, these are the three main files. If you say that HTML, JavaScript, there is a meta file that we will see once we will create our application or a web component with the help of VsCode. And then we have got one additional file that is CSS, and one more file that is SVG. But these are the main three main files that you need to develop, and you can work you can quickly start working with your. So let's say that under this folder I wanted to create an HTML file. I can just say that HTML. So this is not this is not even like I wanted to create a component, then we have to create on all 7 files. If you wanted to create some few more files under that, you can say uh, this is, I'm not going to too deep into that, but you can create folder inside folders. But in Lightning Web or a component, you cannot do that. And you can say here first.js. So whatever your folder name is, you just make sure that the files that you are creating with the same name. I think we created folders here, so we can delete this, as we need to create a file here. And inside you need to use here templates, and even you will get some AI already put by Salesforce. So you just need to type few words and you will get what you wanted to. So we can say that this is new component. And if you run this, what happened? Okay, in this app file, what you need to do is just go to this JavaScript file, and what we have got. Let's quickly create one JavaScript file first.js. This is what we need to put inside our JavaScript file. And all everything will be there in our code. So we can say, okay. So this is basically a playground where you can play with. But I'm mostly preferring to use the VS Code because if we are using this playground, we have some restriction that we cannot connect with Salesforce, or if you wanted to get the data from Salesforce. So let's quickly get back to our presentation. Okay. So with this, we came to our first demo. That is, we are going to create a first project, and then we will create few components inside our project, and we'll deploy and see how it works. So this is our VS Code where I've already created a project. I am going to create a new project for you so that you can see how we can quickly create a project and then how we can work there. So first thing is to create a project. Just open the command palette. To open the command palette, either you can use Start key or you can use this gear icon, or you can go to your files, say view, and you can use command palette. And then here you will see multiple SFDX commands. These commands will be available after installing the extension. So let's quickly see what extensions we have got is. We have got for the extension, this is the one. If you install the latest VS Code, you will see this utility bar. Just click here, search for Salesforce extension pack. This is the one. You can see it is saying that reload required. I'm not going to and then we have got you just need to install this. And the second one that we mentioned in the PPT, if you want to install, you can install, and if you don't want it to install, that's your choice, but this is the required. So let's quickly create project here. We will say view command palette, and I'm going to say that sfdx create. So whatever starting from sfdx create, you will see all the command listed there. So even we can see create apex class, create a default scratch org, project with manifest, and all those commands are available here. So we just need to select this create project with manifest, select standard, and I will say that apex as dev. It will ask me to select where I wanted to store my project. So I will say in desktop, create project, and you can see this, the command whatever is being ran by Salesforce CLI. That is not the logic or the magic of VS Code. That is the magic of Salesforce CLI software that we are talking about. Now we have got a complete new project here. You can see that we have got a number of folders, and under that folders, force-app is the folder, or the that is our main folder, where you can see that we have got different folders as well. We have got applications, we have got Aura component folders, we have got LWC. Inside this, we are going to store our web component. Inside classes, we are going to store classes. So these are the few folders that are made available by default by CLI. If you wanted to create, you can create like custom labels, some folders, but you need to, then for that you need to go to Salesforce metadata and see what the folder name is. Now next thing is that we need to authorize, because we said that we created a project. Now we wanted to work with, in which environment we wanted to work. What is our Salesforce target environment? For that, again, I'm using short keys, and that is Control Shift P for Windows, Command Shift P for macOS. Now you can see that we have got multiple commands. What we need to do is you just need to type org here and say authorize an org here. I will say which environment I wanted to use: sandbox, production, project default. So you also need to use project default here. I'm going to say apex dev, and behind the scene it will run the command. It will open my browser, and I just need to authorize in which environment I want it to. So I'm going to say that this is my personal environment where we are going to develop. I'm going to say login here. No. So now we have successfully authorized. We are logged in. If we get back here, you can see the command has been successfully ran, and if we'll click on show, we will see which command it actually ran behind the scene, and what was the status. Exit code 0 means our command has been successfully done. And now if you see in the epic this here, we will see the alias name of our args. Now next thing is, let's quickly create a web component. So now we have got sfdx lightning create web component. You only need to say that is commands and select what you wanted to create. So I will say that first LWC apex dev. I'm saying that apex hours dev. Now if we talk about this naming convention, it is always preferred to use like as per the web standards, we always need to start from the lower camel case, and then you can either follow that lower camel casing, or you can even type the complete component name in lower letters. But if you use upper letters or upper camel case, what it is going to do is it is going to rename the first it is going to make that first letter in lower camel case. And why we use this? Because as we discussed that we are using web component standards, and in web component standards, uh, if you have used, or if you try to memorize the things in HTML language, there is no tag that is defined in upper camel case, or that starts with a capital letter. That's why we are using this lower camel case. And now the next thing is that it is saying that where you wanted to store your lightning web component. So this is the path, that is force app main default, and under that we have got a folder LWC. So let's click here, and again it will execute the command, and we will get our component created. It will automatically open a JavaScript file for that, and you saw the code that we manually put there inside our JavaScript file while we were working with the playground. We have got this automatically here. Now if you see, we have got a new folder. Under that folder we have got 3 files. One is metadata file that we are going to discuss tomorrow. Then we have 2 files, one is HTML and one is JavaScript file. This is, if you see that this is a class, this is not a JavaScript controller, unlike Visa in our Aura components. And in HTML you will see that we have got only templates. That means we are not using any kind of Aura frameworks or Aura component. To put anything, you can use either H1, and you can say that welcome to world of LWC, and you can just save it. So to preview this application, what we need to do is, unlike Aura component, we don't have any application here. So we are going to create an Aura component here as well, and we will, sorry, Aura application. And after that, we are going to use our web component inside Aura application. So we will say create lightning app, and I will say here apex hours dev application. In Aura component, you can use either a small or capital. There is no naming convention rules defined. But in web component, that is web standard. So now we have got is, so we are going to use extends here. Why we are using extends? So that the look and feel, or the look and feel of our web component extends the styling from our SLDS. And to use our web component inside our application, what you can do is you can just use C colon the name of our web component. That was, we can say that first LWC apex hour dev, and you can do like this. So what this C is, this is a by default namespace for your environment. If you have a custom namespace, you need to use that. And now let's quickly deploy this. To deploy this, what you need to do is just right click and select sfdx deploy this source to org. Just click here, and it will execute this command. If you see, this is the command being executed behind the scene. And if you will get any kind of error, we will see that error. Otherwise, we will see the success message on the toast here. So now we have got success message. We just deployed this component. We did not deploy the application. Let's do deploy application as well. And one more thing is that you can see your application in the Lightning inside Salesforce, but you cannot view the code. If you wanted to view the code of your Lightning web component, you have to uh, do a complete setup with the help of VsCode, and then we need to So we are getting some error that is saying C colon first LWC. I'm not sure. Let's quickly try to reply this. Okay, now we've got this. We successfully deployed this code. Just clearing this. So we are here in this our environment. To see your application, just go to developer console. And what we are going to do is, and where you can find your Lightning web components, you can just type Lightning components here. Inside custom components, and you can see that is first LWC background demo. You can see that here it is, but if you open this, you're not able to open this code. Now let's quickly open our application, that is Apex Hours Dev. If you open this, you can see the code here. If you preview this, you can see whatever the code we put here, we are able to see that. Now let's quickly get back here into our web component. Now let's try to put some kind of input here. We wanted user to provide some input. So what we will do is we will say, for taking the inputs, you might have seen a lightning colon input in lightning components. Now here we have got lightning hyphen input. So how it was earlier. So if I compare it with lightning, it was like this. In our component, it was like this. Now what it is doing is, it is replacing all the colons or all the capital letters with a hyphen. So that's what we are doing here is, we just need to close this. For input, we have got label, we will say that type here. If you wanted to make this required, you can make it as a required. There's nothing need to put after required. And for the value, you can say that type here. This is a very basic input. We just need we just put here. We can quickly deploy this and in the meanwhile it is deploying. If you wanted to create some variables in your web components, how you can use those attributes, like in Aura components you have got Aura colon attribute, but in web components we don't have such concept of creating attributes. We have got our JavaScript class. We just need to open that, go there, you can create here. So if you say that greeting here, I can say that welcome to Apex Hours. And if you wanted to use this variable inside your web component, what you can do is, let me quickly create a paragraph here. I'll just put curly braces and put the name of your variable here. There is no concept of value providers like v in your web component. Sorry, in your Aura component. What you need to do is just put curly braces and provide the name of your variable or the name of your methods that we will see just later in this demo as well. Now let's quickly deploy this. And this is deploying. In the meanwhile, we can see the demo. Either we are able to see our input file here, sorry, our input text or not. So you can see that we have got our input text here, but if we wanted to give some spacing from all around, what we can do is, it is deployed. We can quickly wrap this into a single division tag. And I wanted to apply some kind of SLDS here. So you can say we wanted to use a class. There is an existing class in SLDS that is saying that SLDS merging around, I'm going to say that large. So what I'm doing here is, I wanted to provide margin from all around, it might like all over, top, bottom, left and right, and that margin should be large. And all these classes you will find on the Lightning SLTS. I will show you. Even we already showed you in our earlier session. So this is deployed successfully. Let's quickly get back here, refresh this page. You can see we have got welcome to Apex hours. This is the value of our variable that we did not even um, use any kind of value providers. Now, if you type anything here, let's say that I'm typing here anything. I'm typing my name here. How I can capture my name inside JavaScript? Because in or a component, if you're typing anything, it is strongly typed. That is, if you make any changes in this variable, that will automatically be reflected into the value. So how we can do that? For that, let's quickly create here. We can say that input text, and we are assigning a blank value here. Let's copy this input text here. Instead of value, what we need to do is use curly braces, provide the variable. This is what we did here. There is no concept of using single quotes or double quotes here. Just provide curly braces, provide your variable name. Now, if you wanted to capture that value in the JavaScript, unlike web component, we don't have that concept. We need to use some kind of events here. So let's say that on click, I wanted to call a method called method is let's say that I'm going saying here handle click. So what we need to do is we just need to copy this method and use the same thing. There is no concept of c dot or v dot. If you have a valid method, it is going to call from a controller class. If you don't have, it is going to throw the error. Now, if you wanted to store the value in this input text, we can say that this dot input text. And why we are using this? So that we are referring because the variable that we have got inside this class input text equal to what we need to do is we need to pass one parameter here is event. This event is going to tell us what particular resource or what was the source of firing this particular method. And to get the variables, we have got event.target. Event.target is going to return us this complete input field. What we wanted value here. So we can say that target.value. Even if you want to see what we get here in event.target, we can quickly console this. So we can say that window.console.log. We can say event.target here. We can use this. Now we wanted to display the output of this input text, what we are changing here. Let's quickly use another para here. And I'm going to use input text. Even if you type the variable here, if that variable is available in your JavaScript controller class, that variable will be popped up here, and you can select from the available variables. Let's quickly deploy this. Now it's deployed. Let's quickly have a look at the output of our code. Okay. Yep, I think we have got the updated output. We have got nothing here. And now if we try here, let's say that Apex dev hours, we're not getting that value here. You can quickly go to inspect and see what we have got. If you go to console here, it is not getting anything. Okay, now we have got. If you see here, Apex hour dev, you can see here, and in this target, what we have got is, if we click here, we have handler, and we have got the complete object that we cannot see here due to security issue reason. So this is how you can quickly call the JavaScript controller class method from your Lightning Web Component. Even if you have some buttons, but on the click of that button, you can call that. And the way of calling the method is simply same. You just need to use. Let's say that if you have here a button inside another para, that is Lightning button. If we say lightning button, oops, that is lightning hyphen button, I just need to provide a label here. Click me, I will say value, that is on click. Sorry, this was click, that why we are not getting on the change of, it should be on change, and here it should be on click. We are going to create a new method here. What will be that method? We can say that handle submit, and we just need to put an alert here. Let's say that uh, button clicked. Now if you type here your method, you will see we have got two button methods. That is, one is handle click, another is handle submit. Quickly deploy this code to your environment, and we will see. Now let's quickly have a look here. You can see we have got a new button. Even if you type here text hours dev, you can see now whatever we are typing here, we are getting because we have changed our event to on change. If you click this button, you can see that we are also getting that alert. This is how you can quickly call and you can quickly create your component. Let's get back to our presentation, what we have got here. Okay, so what all properties are available in LWC? Although we have covered one property here, but we'll see. For the properties inside LWC, we have got two things. One is public property. Public property is like we can expose or we can use that property outside of Lightning Web Component, that we will see how we can expose tomorrow. And then we have got private property, which is track and wire. We will discuss about this API, track and wire as well. So I think that is the demo time again. Let's quickly get back to our VS Code. Here we are working. So we talked that we have got three kind of properties. One is public property, that is @API. Then we have got @track. This is we can say that removed from the latest release. That is spring. I think spring or winter 20. Actually, I forgot the latest release. You can say that is whatever the release 20 that just came in. And then we have got another private which we just created here. So if we don't provide any kind of decorators here with the help of a track or API, that means it's a public property and it is a reactive property. What does that mean by reactive property is whatever we are changing in our JavaScript file, if we are using that variable or property inside our Lightning Web Component, it will automatically be populated there, or it will automatically get re-render. So if you see here, we are making the change here in this input text variable. We are using that input text variable here, and it is whatever we are typing, we are getting that output immediately. That's what reactive means. And now that it has been retired, we are not going to discuss about track, but we have got API. API is basically, let's say that we are working with the communication of two components. We have got a parent, we have got a child component. Now we wanted to pass some data from parent to child component. We can use we can leverage the benefit of API @API decorator. If we don't make that property as @API, that means it's a private property and we cannot access that. That is similar like to the access modifiers in Apex class. If we make any variable as private, we cannot access outside of that class. The same thing means here, if we don't make any variable as @API, we cannot access that variable outside the web component. And this API is this API is also used to access the data from Salesforce. What data? Record ID and its object name. So we will see these two in tomorrow's session as well. So these are the two like three different properties available. And if you wanted to create an API property, so let's say that we can say that message here, and we can say that this is a simple message. And once we use this API, you can see that we already imported this API from this Lightning Web Component libraries. If we don't import and we try to deploy this, even we are getting some red error, some alert here that my component is not happy. But even if I ignore this and go ahead, try to deploy, I will get errors because of I did not imported this library from our Lightning Web Component. So we have to make sure that whatever the decorators we are using, we need to import that from our Lightning Web Component. You can see that we are getting some error and we are getting this, and it is even pointing out on this line number I'm getting the error, and the error is should be imported from LWC, and these are the decorators that are supported. We will talk about this wire later on this session as well. So now we save this. So let's quickly get back to our presentation. What we have is now next thing that we have for today's session, that is the last thing, how we can call an Apex class from our Lightning Web Component. So to call the Apex class, we have got two ways. One is wire, another one is imperative way. So what wire decorator or a wire method does is it works as a constructor. If you make any method call in this with the help of this wire method, it will immediately execute whenever your component is being initialized. And what imperative method is doing, if you have some kind of events based on the user instruction or based on some browser events, you wanted to call your imperative method or any Apex class method, then you need to use imperative way. So we will see both of the how we can call it. Even the next slide is for the demo one or what to do next. Let's quickly get back to our demo here. We have got this method. We will quickly deploy this, and to use this we have to create a new class. So we can say let's quickly create an Apex class. If you type Apex, you will see what all Apex we have got. We wanted to create class, we wanted to create triggers, we wanted to execute some test classes. You can do all those things here. We wanted to create a class here. We will say Apex as demo class. Execute this and you will see a class has been created, and it will open the by default structure of a class by having with sharing keywords with a default constructor. Now as in our previous session we saw, if you wanted to call any class as an array enabled for any class from a Lightning component or a web component, it should be an array enabled. So first thing we need to use an array enabled. We have got this array enabled. If you select, you will get the skeleton of the project here. Sorry, skeleton of the method. Public static is the mandatory. Why this static is mandatory? Because we are directly calling the method from the class. Here is method name. So let's say that I wanted to get the contact list here. I'm giving the name as contact list. This is return type, that is string, but I wanted to return list of contact here. So I will say list of contact. And what I'm going to return here is I'm going to say select ID, name, email from contact, limit 20. If I deploy this class, we should be good to go because we have developed with the correct syntax here. Now how we can quickly call this class with the help of a wire method, call this method with the help of a wire method and with the help of our imperative method. We will see both the methods. So let's quickly have a here. What we do is we can say LWC wire, and so this is whatever I did is with the help of the second extension that I mentioned in my PPT. I've got the complete syntax of my wire method. But if you notice that this wire method has not been into imported from the library, so I'm going to put here wire, and we have got what happened. Okay, no problem. We have got this wire. To call the Apex method, we need to follow few steps. What steps we have is, let me quickly list down here. Get a class. We already have a class here. Create an aura enabled method. We already have. then we need to do that is import the method in LWC. How we will do this? Again, we have, this is the syntax for importing a method, a JavaScript method, sorry, Apps class method. So we have got the class name is, I'll just quickly put the syntax here and I will explain you. So we have got, okay. So here, what you need to do is just put import statement like above, put the method name, whatever the method name of your class is there. Then you need to say that from where you wanted to import. We wanted to import from the Salesforce instance. We wanted to get the Epis class, and under that Epis class, we might have multiple classes. Which class we wanted to get, that is our class name, and which method we wanted to import, that is our get contact list. And now to call a method, we just need to put here, we have got this syntax. Second thing is, let's say that use @var to call the method. Var is not only used to call the this class method, you can even use to call the methods that are standard methods that are provided by Salesforce itself for developing Lightning Web Components in a very fast manner. Once you're working with the Lightning data services, you will get to know more on that. Now, if you see that we have got this method name, this is a dummy method name. You can provide any name you want. This wire method returns two things. One is data, a success data in case of the method successfully returns. And we have got the second thing, that is error. Now we are storing the data inside result variable. We are storing the data inside error inside error variable. What we need to do is we need to define, because we don't have those variable here. So we will say that result, and we will use error here. So we are good here. Again, just to explain this, we are calling the Epis class method. We are saying if the method is returning successful, assign whatever data we are getting in this result, that is this dot result. If there is any error, assign the error, whatever error we are getting in this variable error, make the result as undefined, that we don't have anything in that result. If you wanted to do a console here, even we can quickly use to console to see if you are getting some data or not. So I will say here contact records, and we have got data here. And if we have got some error, we can use some error here is error. Now let's quickly, I think we deployed this, but I'll try to deploy this again to see if we deployed. And then we'll quickly deploy our application, and we'll see if we are getting some errors in console, or we are getting the contact records that we are trying to fetch. And okay, we successfully deployed. Yep, we are done. Let's quickly see. Get back, refresh this. Okay, and let's open the console with the help of our inspect. To go to console here, we are getting error. Why we are getting error? Because if we are calling any methods from a wire, any Apis class method with the help of a wire method, it should be catchable equal to true. Because wire methods are read-only, and we cannot make any changes on the data that wire method returns. If we wanted to make change, we have workarounds that we are not going to discuss. Catchable equal to true. If we make this as catchable equal to true, and again deploy, refresh there, we will see some result over there. Now let's say that we have got this result. We wanted to display that result into our HTML file. How we can do that? So let's quickly, to display that result, let me quickly create another division here. Now we have deployed it, just put this thing, and then we'll see the output. You can see now we have got 20 records here. Okay, now if you wanted to display this, what we have is we have template for each. This is actually a for loop for Lightning Web Component in which we wanted to deploy, that is result. And then we can say that for item, I will even give you the comparison just a minute. Why I wanted to display, I can say, okay, I will tell you why what I'm doing here is I just need to provide a key here, and key will be contact.id. Why we are providing a key here? Key will always be unique value for a field, and we are providing a key here so that if you are making any changes on this particular item out of 20 item, Salesforce or LWC will know that we are making changes in which record based on this key. That's why we are using a key here. If you don't provide a key, you will get an error. So make sure that you are using key here. And to use, let's say that I'm using a contact. I wanted to use here contact ID. So I will say contact.id. Which contact I'm using here is whatever the item I do have is. How to compare this with Apex? Let's quickly have a look what happened. Okay. In Apex, we have for loop like this. Let's suppose that this is the list of our contacts. What we will do is we'll use contact, and I will even say contact name result. So this is the list that we are using here to iterate. This is our for loop variable that we are using here inside for item. And if you wanted to access contact ID, how we will do that? We will use contact.id. That's what we are using here, contact.id. Now let's quickly deploy this. And after deploying, we must be able to see the list of all 20 contacts over there. And in the meanwhile, it is deploying. I just wanted to quickly create a new method here, which will return list of account. I can say list of account here, and I'll say limit to ID and name from account. Now we are not going to make this as catchable here, and even before, after just checking the demo, we will see. So we have got here, let's wait. Now you can see that we have got all the record IDs. Even if you want to display more information here, you can display more information as well. Now, let's say that if you wanted to click here and we wanted to display the list of contacts, or sorry, list of accounts here instead of contacts. So what we can do is, we already have got this method. That is, let's quickly change the name. That we will say that get account details. What we need to do is just quickly deploy this, and as it is being deployed, we just need to quickly use import statement. We've got this method, that is get account details, and for this method. Now how to pass the method in this wire parameter, we will see tomorrow. Sorry, wire method. Now to call this method, we already have got this button that is clicked. What we will say is so to call imperative method, we have got a very simple things. Just put your name, whatever you imported the method. You just need to put here. If you wanted to provide some kind of parameters here, you can use. We will see how we can pass the parameters in tomorrow's session. Then we have got one promise function that is says then. Then means if our method is successfully returning something, we will get the information here. Catch means if there is some kind of error, that will be cached under here. Now we wanted to store the value inside the same variable, just to show you that these variables, these properties are reactive property. At first go, we are getting contact data. When we are clicking on that button, we are getting account data, but storing on the same variable, that is result.id. This is why we used ID here instead of putting any kind of field. We did not put any other fields like email, or phone that is not in common in both. ID is the field that is common in across all the objects. So I'm just going to deploy this, and we will not get error of catchable equal to true this time. So let's quickly see. Now we have deployed this. I'm just going to refresh my page. So we have got here, let's click here. We have got the alert that we put, and you can see we have got two accounts here because we just fetched two accounts from our Salesforce. So with this, I think we are here to conclude our today's session. What we need to do next is you just need to go Salesforce document that they said introduction to Lightning Web Component. We have got a very great video where Jitendra Jha is basically explaining what a web component is. Then we have got a trailhead module that is build Lightning Web Components, and please do come tomorrow because don't if you discontinue from here, you might miss many important things about LWC. And with this, we have got assignment for today. You need to create a component that is account list. Create a Lightning Web Component that is saying we need to create a Lightning Web Component which basically display the list of all the accounts. There should be a button. On the click of that button, you need to call a method which will get the list of accounts. Then you need to display all the accounts inside your web component, and there should be limit of 25 records. The challenge for you is, because I already showed how to display the records. Challenge for you is you need to display the records in this format. Every record, like every row, should display 3 records, and every 3 records will have this formation like industry, rating, website, and revenue. How you will get this UI? I'll just quickly walk you through so that you don't get confused. You are already here in Lightning component library. I'm just leaving this. Go here, find Lightning card. This is the Lightning card, and if you see, you've got Lightning card. You have got hello, and if I say okay, you have got this. This is the hint that is Lightning card that you can use here. You can use whatever variant you want. Title should be account name. Icon name should be a standard coin account is already there, and the list of information should be there. To display the records, 3 records in a row, you can use SLDS grid. So you have got SLDS grid in Google. You just get to the SLDS grid in Lightning Web Components. So this is what I can show you for this for the assignment. I can't tell you everything. And with this, we have got question and answers. We must have multiple question and answers. What do you, Jigar?
Yeah, so Amit, thank you for that wonderful session. I think that was a great example. A lot of people were able to connect, but there are still quite a few questions. One was around, I think, decorators, but let me go by. So I think you explained the wired thing, right? The wired decorator property and the cacheable equal to true. So can you just explain how that works again? Because I believe there is somebody who needs some explanation on that and wants to understand that.
Yep, sure. So wire method basically works as a constructor. If we say that how wire method works, it is a constructor for any Lightning Web component. Whatever the method that you are calling from a wire method, it will immediately call once your component is being initialized. So if you remember in previous session, we have got aura colon handler. The syntax was something like this: aura colon handler. We have got name as init, and then we have value, which is saying that we are on the current component, and we are calling some kind of action here with the help of this syntax like c dot do init. So here we don't have this concept of any kind of event handlers because these are the Aura framework things, and we are following Web standards. We are using here wire decorator that is provided by with the combination of we can say that Salesforce and web components. And whatever the data that you will get here in this wire method, it will be read only. if you try to make the change in the data, so let's say that we have got this data here, and if I, as we know that we are getting list here, and if we try to say let I equal to 0 as less than data dot length, if I try to make any changes in this data, so if I say this is let data record, and I'm getting here whatever the row we have got, and if I try to make say that data record dot name equal to apex hours, if I to try to make sure this change, I will get error here. It will not let me change any kind of things. So I like it is also faster than imperative methods. We are clicking here on this method, and then we are calling another class method. It is taking a larger time than this while method. But if you have some kind of data that you wanted to display over your component, which you don't want it to alter later on, or user don't need to make any changes, always prefer to use while method. And if you have some events or browser events you wanted to call, or you have some kind of calculations on the data, you wanted to alter your data, always go with the imperative way, imperative methods. But even there are multiple workarounds to call while method imperatively, but that is advanced concepts that we are not going to discuss here.
Okay, that was a great explanation for that. In fact, a very clear explanation on why it needs to be done in a certain way. I think there is also a general set of questions around why should I use Aura versus why should I use LWC, and what's the difference between the two? When should I use what? So if you could just throw a little bit of light, because it seems that a lot of people, we had a Aura session yesterday and an LWC session today, and a lot of people are kind of confused, saying that why should I use one versus the other?
Okay, sure. So for this, let me open. You can see my slide, Aura versus LWC.
Yes.
Okay, so in Aura component, earlier we had as a replacement of EF, if we can say, we have got ample number of frameworks which were decreasing the performance, and there were multiple developers who were very hard to find, or very hard to familiar with this Aura components. And if we talk about the gaps, what we had is, so if we talk here, so you can see that these were the multiple gaps that we got. And to bridge all these gaps, like we wanted to make faster load of, or like we wanted to make our UI which is rendering in a very faster way, or we wanted to create our own elements, and we wanted to use some kind of decorators that are by default available in ECMAScripts. We have got promise functions that we can leverage from ECMAScript 7 plus, and then even we have got a complete client-side JavaScript class. We have got JavaScript class where we can write whatever code we wanted to. To bridge all these gaps, with the help of Aura, we have got multiple frameworks like React.js, AngularJS, and then this is the framework that we are talking about, and these are some kind of library. So I will give you a very simple example. Let's say that I'm developing an application inside Salesforce, and I wanted to use some another application inside my Salesforce application. With the help of Aura framework, we cannot do that. If you wanted to do that, we have to take the help from these two frameworks, that is React or Angular. In our web component, we have got inside, because these are the web standards, we have got in-house all those things, and we no need to look after for any kind of libraries or any kind of frameworks. And the next thing that the best thing that Salesforce does provide is it is anyways much faster than Lightning Web Component, easy to learn and easy to use. You don't have to look after the Aura documentation, and I can show you where the Aura document is, because you have not you might have not seen that your documents. If you see the documents, that's also hard to understand. So if you wanted to see the documents, that is, this is a document. Maybe some people have gone through with this, but this document is a actual Aura document and documentation based on which we are trying to develop our Lightning Web Component. So as this supports web standards, I'll prefer to use Lightning Web Component, but there are limitations of Lightning Web Components. Salesforce is still working to resolve those. In some cases, we have to use like if you wanted to create some kind of dynamic components based on user inputs or based on some our conditions or criterias, then we must need to go with Lightning Aura components because we don't have that available component. Salesforce is still working on that, and there are some other things you wanted to navigate from one Lightning component to another Aura component. That is also a limitation in Lightning Web Component. So these are some kind of limitations that I have faced, but I'll I'll say, because this is a latest technology, a boom technology in demand that everyone is looking for. It is good to have Aura knowledge, but best to have good hands on a Lightning Web Component.
Okay. Thank you for that, Amit. Uh, and I think one last question that probably some uh, that I think somebody asked. We do have some questions on certifications. Probably we might take them later, but yes, there was a question on decorators. Like, what is the difference? So, if you could just talk a little bit about that, I think that would be uh, easier for everybody to understand.
So decorator is basically used to in our Lightning Web Component. We have got only uh, three decorators that we also discussed. One is wire method. It is basically used to call any server-side methods or any third-party method that we have got, or any existing methods that we have got here. We have got if you wanted to get the extraction of the complete object here, so we can use that. We wanted to call fs class, we can use that. We wanted to get some fields value, we can use that. We will see, I think we might see some example tomorrow. And then we have got another decorator, that is API, which is basically used to make a property as a public property, that we will see tomorrow how this property is actually working and how it is helpful for us. You might not be getting the good example here because we have not used it in a certain way or in a good way. And then we have got that is a track decorator, which is already retired. So even this track decorator was earlier, what this track decorator was doing is to make a property as reactive property. We discussed that if we make any changes on the client side JavaScript class, it should reflect on the UI side. Earlier, if we make this kind of variables, that was not reactive property, it was only private property. But now it made available as reactive. Then that means that track decorator doesn't no longer exist for us. We can skip, but if you want, you can definitely use that.
Okay, that is perfect. Thanks for that, Amit, and thanks for really answering these questions in details. Uh, with that, guys, we kind of come to an end of this session. Thank you everyone for joining us today. The the learning on Lightning Web Component continues, and we are not done yet. Tomorrow is going to be the second part of the session and also the last session for the Apex Hours Dev program. Please do not miss tomorrow's session. The videos will be uploaded shortly. The code is provided on the blog once the videos are uploaded. And please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if there are more questions even after this, feel free to post your questions on the blog, and we will be more than happy to answer that. Having said that, we do not want you to lose out on the enthusiasm, and we want you to keep learning. So all the assignments that are there for all the sessions, please do complete them. Amit has given us an assignment for today already. But for all the assignments from the previous sessions, please try to complete them, because we have a ton of goodies and some great gifts for the winners. So thank you. Keep learning, and keep blazing the trails. Thank you for all the uh, you know Apex Hours Dev Program speaker team who were there and very silently answering a lot of questions. Amit Chaudhary, he's there and usually the silent guy, but yeah, he does a lot of work behind the scenes. Purushottam, Saket, thank you guys. And thank you, Amit, for a wonderful session. We really look forward to have each one of you in our session tomorrow. So thank you. Good night or have a good day, depending on where you're located. Thank you once
Thanks
again. Bye
everyone.
bye.
Thanks everyone for joining.